Hey everyone, I'm TCS23 and welcome back to Crossout Basics. This video is part 2 of how to defeat Leviathans in 2021. If you haven't watched part 1, I highly recommend you do, since it will make a lot more sense with the tips that I share in this video. In part 1 of this guide, I shared the first 5 matches of the invasion mode versus Leviathans. Now, in part 2, this video will conclude with the last 5 matches. Okay, so let's get into it. Tip number 6 is to check the health of the central tower often. Within each match, there are 3 Leviathans that increase in difficulty, and all of them can do a decent amount of damage to the tower you are defending. If you notice that a particular Leviathan is directing a lot of fire towards the tower, you may need to sacrifice your cover temporarily in order to save the tower's health. If the tower is destroyed at any point in the game, you will lose the match. Tip number 7 is to use the Blight Cabin perk. As you can see, once activated, each incinerator will increase its fire damage by 40%, and the flame puddle size will increase by 30%. The nice thing is that you have 8 seconds to use this perk once it's activated, which is also helpful in case you need to readjust your shot at the last second. Throughout part 1 and 2 of this guide, you will see me using the Blight Cabin perk, since the fire puddle will be turned green. The damage numbers really become a lot more effective at that point, especially against slower moving Leviathans. The 8th tip for how to defeat Leviathans is to space your incinerator shots for wider coverage. There may be times when a Leviathan switches course unexpectedly, or it may stop short of your predicted shot. Having incinerators bound to different mouse keys, as I mentioned in part 1, will give you a chance to land at least one shot rather than waste both of them. Tip number 9 is to craft repair kits as backup. Within each match, you are given one free repair kit, which can be used up rather quickly if you're not careful. Crafting backup repair kits will not only spare you literally, but it will also save you from spending the going rate for some extra lives. And finally, the last tip I wanted to share with you is actually something that I learned while recording these matches, and that is you should drive towards the central tower once the match starts. This makes it a lot easier to pick up the Leviathan on radar, which in turn will allow you to devise a faster plan of attack. The same would go for the follow-up Leviathans that you face. If you happen to be on the outer circle of the map when the first or second Leviathan is destroyed and you don't see the next one immediately on the map, rather than wasting time driving all the way around to find your target, you should just drive towards the center of the map. It might not seem like much of a difference, but it'll mean a lot to your teammates who may be struggling to hold off a difficult Leviathan. Well, that will conclude part 2 of how to defeat Leviathans in 2021. I hope you were able to learn something new, and like I mentioned before in part 1, here is the link to my build in case you want to try it out for yourself. I'm already working on a new Crossout raid guide for 2021, and I'm also developing a tips and tricks video for those who are relatively new to the game. If you have any suggestions on what to include, feel free to comment below, and other than that, I'll see you next time here on Crossout Basics.